Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be doing a Game Week 11 Premier League predictions. So up first, I'm predicting Wolves versus Southampton, two teams at the bottom of the table. They've both had pretty poor starts to the season. However, watching Wolves, I see a lot of potential in them with Cunha, Strand Larsen, Ait Nouri, a good left back, and João Gomez in the middle, everywhere on the pitch, grafting hard in the midfield. So when I watched the Palace game last week, I saw a lot of counter-attacking quality in Wolves' side. I think they want to play attacking football. I think they do have the players to stay up. It's just at the moment they're going through a really rough patch. Results aren't going their way, unfortunately. But I feel like in this fixture against a newly promoted Southampton, despite them winning against Everton last week, I think that overall Wolves have a better squad. And for that reason, I'm going to go with 2-0 Wolves. Cunha and Strand Larsen to score. So on to the next fixture, we have Brentford v Bournemouth. So these are two teams that one is coming off of a loss in Brentford, losing 2-1 to Fulham last week, Harry Wilson brace, and Bournemouth is coming off a 2-0 win against Arsenal, surprisingly. So their team in great form. Semenyo's had brilliant returns in the last couple of weeks. So they've got a lot of quality about themselves, Bournemouth, like I mentioned, Semenyo, Evan Nilsson, their new striker, Tavernier, who's been, there for a while now. So they do have, a good quality team. Perhaps their midfield is slightly weak, but they're a good team unit. So it's not the easiest playing against Bournemouth with Iraola's style of play. So it wouldn't be the easiest for Brentford, but despite Brentford losing last week, they have some brilliant attacking outlets like Mbuemo, Wissa, Keane Lewis Poto, who's a young player who's coming through and, having good games and putting in good performances. It's at the GTEC Stadium, so I'm not sure if that's going to help Bournemouth out in any way, but I'm going to say it's going to be a 1-1, it's going to be a cagey game, and it's going to be very tight. So, on to the next fixture, West Ham versus Everton. I think this game is going to be fairly tight. I can't see it being very free-flowing football, because Everton play a very low block. They like to be compact and, Dyche's way of football is, narrow defence, midfielders dropping deep, protecting areas where the attackers of the opposition may threaten Everton. So I feel like they've got a pretty mean defence, Everton, with the likes of Tarkowski, Branthwaite. So it's not going to be the easiest team to get past for West Ham. However, at home, and with the likes of Jared Bowen, Thomas Souček, Mohamed Kudus, I think they've got a lot of attacking potential there. And I feel like despite Everton's, strength in defence, it's not going to be easy for them to keep out West Ham all game. So for that reason, I'm going to go for 2-1 West Ham. Okay, so moving on to Crystal Palace versus Fulham. Fulham coming off of a win and Palace coming off of a draw that they scraped against Wolves late-ish on with Mark Gw11. So assessing these two teams, Palace, they're not doing that great this season. They've had a pretty poor start. Fulham, on the other hand, are doing really decent, actually. Top half, they play very cool attacking football. They've got a great squad. But also, Palace also have a lot of quality in in their squad as well. And I feel like they shouldn't be where they are currently in the table with the amount of quality they have with the likes of Eze, Ismail Assar, Mark Guay, and they've got new additions at centre back, and they under Oliver Glasner, who gave them a real uplift last season. This season hasn't been the greatest start. With Fulham, though, Raul Jimenez, Harry Wilson, they provide a threat. So I think it's going to be an open game. I'm going to say 2-2 draw. So moving on, so Brighton versus Man City. So these two teams have come off the back of a loss recently in their last Premier League fixtures. Brighton losing to Liverpool and City losing to Bournemouth. So it will be interesting to see how both teams are able to bounce back for this game. City have played midweek and lost to Sporting 4-1, which was quite a surprise actually. So they're not doing the best at the moment, and they've got a lot of absences like KDB, Rodri. So it's not been the easiest time for City when it comes to injuries. However, they've still got a really class squad around them. Like, there's still so many brilliant players. Maybe the chemistry's not quite as it usually is because of big absences, but it's surprising that they've fallen off a bit recently. However, with Brighton, yes, they came off a loss, but under their new manager, they've looked exciting. Like, they've got real quality, especially up front. They've been on form in terms of scoring this season. So I think that despite Brighton being at home and they can more often than not provide a threat to most teams, I think that City will win this 2-1. So moving on to Liverpool versus Aston Villa. Now, this is a pretty, on paper, exciting fixture. And there's so much quality in both sides. And Liverpool are currently, they're in really good form, under Arne Slot. And they've been a very hard team to contest with this season. So it's going to be really hard for Villa at Anfield with their, fortress, with their fans and their support. It's going to be very hard for them to get the job done at Anfield. There's just so much quality in Liverpool, so many, very long-lasting players at the club. The longevity is what's, very in favour of Liverpool in this fixture. The experience, even though in Aston Villa there's young players who are talented, the experience isn't quite there yet for a lot of players. So I just think that Liverpool will win this one comfortably, especially after Villa came off of a loss in the Champions League. And I just think Liverpool will turn up and they'll be way stronger than Villa this game week. So I'm going to go for 2-0 Liverpool. Okay, so moving on to Man United versus Leicester. First game for Ruud van Nistelrooy in the Premier League in charge. Man United have been pretty poor this season, and Leicester have, shown what they're about. They're in and around the middle half of the bottom half. So they're not doing that bad. They're doing the best of the three newly promoted teams. They've got a fairly decent squad, and they've definitely got the ability to cause trouble at Old Trafford. However, I feel like first game in charge, it's going to be, it's going to be, quite a tight game. I can see very cagey type football, not a lot of expansive attacking football, if you will. But I'm going to just say 1-0 Manchester United. So moving on to Forest Newcastle. Last time these two met at St James's Park last season, Forest actually came away with a 3-1 win. Chris Wood hat-trick it was. It was a brilliant performance last time they met last time in St James's Park. But coming into this fixture, Forest are in brilliant form. They're doing exceptional so far this season. You know, they're really, their chemistry's evolving really well under Nuno. They've got brilliant players. They're probably a bit overlooked because of their history in the past with a couple of years of being in the Prem. They haven't been, you know, the most out there team, but they're really getting their act together, and I feel like, you know, they can push on to have a decent season and finish in the top half at least. But when it comes to Newcastle, they've got a good squad. You know, it's pretty well rounded. Um, but I can just see it being a 1-1, to be honest. Hi everyone, so this video here is recorded on the 9th of November. The other bit you saw, everything prior to that, was yesterday, but I haven't been able to edit in time. It's been a lot of work, so I'm just going to go through the last two predictions before 3 p.m. UK time so that I get them all in quickly. I've said for Ipswich versus Tottenham, 2-1 Spurs, and Chelsea versus Arsenal, 3-2 Chelsea. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe and turn on notifications so that you do not miss another epic video.